The Mitsubishi Pajero Sport has been around for quite a while now, and there are a bunch of newer, more high-tech rivals that have arrived in the years since it launched. So you might be wondering, should I still be considering this SUV? The answer is yes. I'm going to tell you why in this review. Thanks for watching. My name's Matt. This channel's called The Right Car, and the Pajero Sport could be the right car for you if you're looking for a rugged 4x4 or 4x2, 5 or 7-seater with diesel power and a long warranty. There's a bit to talk about with the warranty. We'll get to that in the ownership section. But first, let's talk about pricing. This one here is the top spec GSR model. It's a 4x4 7-seater, but if you don't need as many bells and whistles as this spec has, then there is plenty of value in the lower grade versions of the Pajero Sport, which has always been the case with this model range. So let's talk about the entry-level version first off. It's called the GLX. It's a 5-seater only, but it has the choice of 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. And as standard, you get a bunch of really good equipment, including LED lights and LED daytime running lights, LED tail lights, 18-inch alloy wheels. There's an 8-inch touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You've got adaptive cruise control, and you also get keyless entry and push-button start and a leather-wrapped steering wheel and shifter, which does make it feel like it's more value than you're paying for it, which is nice to see. There is some considerations with that one and the next grade up, the GLS, when it comes to safety technology. I'll address them in that section in a couple of minutes' time. But the GLS does offer a pretty good value equation if you ask me. You get some nice inclusions such as 7 seats as standard, comes with the option of ticking an option box with a surround view camera and leather interior and a few other items as well. It seems like a box well ticked, but it does miss out on a few safety items that you might wish you had. Which you can get if you step up to the Exceed model, which is the next model above it. It adds blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. It also gets some really nice stuff like heated front seats, digital driver info screen, and a few other items that will make it feel like the money that you're spending on it. And then there's this one here, as I mentioned, it's called the GSR, and in Mitsubishi speak, GSR just basically means the black pack. So it does have black wheels, a black exterior finish around it as well, which does make it look and feel a little bit more boss. But look, like I said, I reckon you're getting plenty of value for money in the lower grade versions, but let me tell you about a few really good alternatives to this car. There are a few obvious rivals when it comes to this SUV. The most obvious one is the Ford Everest, which is fantastic. It's one of my favorite big SUVs with 4-wheel drive capability. There are a bunch of different models available. Yes, it is a fair bit more expensive than the Pajero Sport, but it's worth the money if you ask me. Then again, I reckon you could get away with the entry-level Ambiente 4x4 or a 4x2, depending on what you need, and you'd be a pretty happy customer. Well, hopefully. Now, there's other options out there that I reckon you should also check out. The Isuzu MU-X is one of them. It's a bit of a sales success this time around. It was already pretty popular, but the new generation one is really popular, and for good reason. It still has diesel power, 4x2, 4x4, 7 seats available as well, and it's a really decently priced rugged SUV. Excuse the train horn. A couple of other alternatives that you might not necessarily be thinking about when you're looking at a Pajero Sport. One of them, the SsangYong Rexton. You can check out my review of that vehicle by hitting the link at the top of your screen if you're watching on desktop. It is a really impressively packaged and really well-priced luxury-ish take on the 4x4 SUV theme. It's very affordable though, so it stacks up in a few different ways. And another one, the GWM Tank 300. Now, I've driven the hybrid version of that. Yes, a hybrid. You can hit the link up there and watch the off-road review of that car. I was impressed by it in so many different ways, particularly the interior, which is light years ahead of what the Pajero Sport offers, but it doesn't come with 7 seats, and it's a fair bit smaller. So it might not be right for you, but just really depends what you're looking for. Let me know in the comments. It isn't one of the bigger 4x4 SUVs on the market. It's just on 4.8 meters long. It's got a shorter wheelbase than the Triton Ute that it's based on, but still somehow manages to fit 3 rows of seats in there. Now, I'm going to show you the boot. We're going to look at it with seats up first, just to give you an idea of what you're dealing with if you need it as a 7-seater full time. Good thing about this grade is that you do get an electric tailgate, which is a family-friendly option. Just watch your face when you're opening it. Now, when it comes to family friendliness, you've got about 130 litres of cargo capacity with all 7 seats up, which isn't huge for this type of vehicle, but it's definitely big enough to fit maybe a couple of school backpacks or something in there. So just keep in mind though that the 7-seat situation in this car is a little bit different to some other cars. So I'm going to do some folding of the seats now. So you have to sort of press these little tabs down here. That flips up the bases of the seats, and then you can lower the tops down. So it does make for a bit of a weird sort of layout, and it's not conventional. Some other cars just have them so you fold them into the floor, but Mitsubishi hasn't been able to do that with this generation model. So yeah, it does mean that it is maybe a little bit clumsy. You can see the bases of the seats up in front there, up against the seat in front. And then you can fold those seats forward if you need to make it even bigger. But in this sort of configuration, you are getting enough space for a family of 5 for a week's worth of holidaying or road tripping or whatever you're going to do. Also, there's a full-size spare under the car as well. I've already mentioned that this vehicle has been around for a few years now, and it is feeling its age on the inside, like most Mitsubishi models, if I'm honest, but it's not too bad. It's still a functional space. You've got a couple of cup holders here, a little storage tray in front of the shifter, bottle holders in the doors, and it does have, well, some wow factor to it, I guess. You've got an 8-inch touchscreen media system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This spec has that digital screen that I was mentioning as well, which is pretty clear and crisp and does have a digital speedo, which I like. The seat comfort is not too bad. The seats are a little bit small, so if you're a bigger person, then you might find that the seats maybe aren't as supportive as they could be, but I find them to be okay. So yeah, not a whole lot to speak about up here. Maybe the less said the better. Let's check out the second row. Now I'm 6 foot tall, or 182 centimeters, in case you've never seen any of my other videos before. And I've got, well, kind of limited headroom back here. And I do have a very stadium seat sort of position, which might be great if you've got little kids and they like seeing out, because I know my little girl loves seeing out the windows, but for adults, it's not as good as it could be. So let's talk about physical space. I've got not very much foot room, just a little bit of knee room. And yeah, like I mentioned, headroom's pretty tight. I do like though that you do get these little vents up here. So if it is a hot day or a cold morning, then that will be nice on your face if you are an adult in the back seat. Also got fan controls up here. There are ISOFIX points in the window seats and top tether points across the back row as well. Not the back row, we'll get to that in a sec. But as I said, you've got vents here as well. A couple of USB ports down there and a power point in this spec as well, which is nice to see. So you could keep a laptop or power tools charged up if you need to, which is good to see. There's map pockets on the seat backs as well, with a little Velcro tab there, so you can sort of divide it so you've got a phone holder if you need it to be. And you've got a flip down armrest here with some pop out cup holders, but it's got the flimsy factor going on. One thing you need to know about the second row here is you can't slide it forwards and backwards, so you can't really change the amount of space that is on offer in here or in the back row. And the smaller portion of this seat is actually on the driver's side. So in my mind, that's never as good as if it was on the curb side of the car, because you're more likely to have people wanting to get into the back row from a curb, for instance. So it might be an issue for you, or you might be okay with it, but I'm going to show you what it's like to get in and out of the back right now. I'm going to do it from this spot here. Let's do it. So we'll flip and tumble this side. Both sides do it. That side's heavier because it's bigger. This side just makes it a bit easier because it's lighter. So getting into the back, as I mentioned, I'm not a small human. I'm a sort of regular sized man. And back here, there's kind of enough space. Honestly, the biggest issue is foot space. So if you have big size 12s like I do, you might not be as comfortable, but headroom is not too bad. And the amenities aren't that bad. You've got a couple of vents in the ceiling as well. There's 2 cup holders on the wheel arch back here as well. And yeah, there's 2 seats, but yeah, you might not want to have people back here all the time. No child seat anchor points back here either, so keep that in mind. Okay, it's not too bad. If you choose a Pajero Sport, then you only have the option of a 2.4 litre turbo diesel engine. You'll see the outputs on your screen now. This is a pretty tried and tested engine, and it comes as standard with an 8-speed automatic transmission. But like I said, depending on the version you choose, you can have it as a 4x2 or 4x4, depending on what you want. Now, speaking of that, the 4x2 versions have a maximum brake towing capacity of 3 tons. And if you choose a 4x4, it ups it just a little bit to 3.1. I remember when I first drove the Pajero Sport all those years ago, I thought it was one of the better big SUVs with 4x4 capability to drive. And it remains pretty competitive, I've got to say. After all these years, it is still a decent thing to drive around town and to live with. A lot of that comes down to the fact that it does have a pretty effortless powertrain. So yes, it's not the most powerful 4-cylinder diesel engine out there, but it does have enough grunt to get you going in urban situations or even on the highway. And yes, the 8-speed automatic transmission can be a little bit busy at lower speeds, but I think that it's pretty well sorted for the most part, and it does make for pretty easy motoring, I would say. When it comes to suspension, well, I'm just going over some speed humps here at the moment, and it's pretty good. Like, it isn't necessarily as clumsy feeling as some of the other SUVs that are based on utes. So it does have a bit more, I guess, control and compliance. I'll just go over this next speed hump now. Yeah, it's fine. And it does settle pretty quickly after a bump. If you are sitting in the back, you might find that suspension is a little bit jostlier at the rear end. So if you don't have as much weight in the car, you might find that it can be just a bit busy. And obviously it's pretty capable when it comes to off-roading. I'm not going to do any off-roading in this review, but if you want to see me putting it through its paces, hit the link at the top of your screen there, and that'll take you to a video I did a few years ago now of just how good this thing can be or cannot be off-road. It's also got really user-friendly steering. A lot of these sort of big SUVs can be a little bit harder to steer because, well, they're big. But this car is actually pretty decent when it comes to the steering responsiveness. I'll just go around this corner now, just point and shoot. It's very predictable in the weighting of the steering as well, so it doesn't really require any guesswork, which is a good thing to see. It's not a corner carver, and you know, it does feel, well, like sometimes you might go too fast for the corners that you're finding, but I think it's fine. I guess the one thing that I recalled this car being better at is noise suppression. There's still quite a lot of diesel noise that comes into the cabin. It's decent at higher speeds in terms of refinement, but at lower speeds it can be a little bit noisy. So for the driver, it's a pretty good experience. I will say though that I have had some complaints from rear seat passengers in these cars before. They can be just a bit busy. Righto, let's talk efficiency for the Pajero Sport. No matter which version you choose, the official combined cycle fuel consumption figure is 8 litres per 100 kilometres, which is pretty good for this type of vehicle, if I'm honest. And if you're wondering what I've seen over a week of driving, across a mix of different driving as well, obviously a bit of suburban stuff, some highway and freeway as well, you'll see the figure on your screen now, and you can let me know in the comments if you think that's good. I was okay with it. I thought it was actually pretty impressive. This car did have a 5-star ANCAP safety rating based on 2015 testing, but it expired at the end of 2022. So officially, this is no longer a 5-star ANCAP performer. I've already mentioned a bunch of alternatives in this review that are, so if that matters to you, you might want to check those out. This car is probably going to be replaced in about 2 years with an all-new model, so that could be waiting for, depending on what you want. Now, it does come with some good standard safety technology, including autonomous emergency braking, a reversing camera and parking sensors as well, and you've got 7 airbags as well. If you want blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, as I mentioned, you do need to buy either the Exceed or the GSR grade, which do cost quite a bit more money. And like I said, if you do choose the GLS, you can hit that option box and you will also get a surround view camera, which is standard in the top 2 versions. Mitsubishi offers a 5-year 100,000 kilometre warranty, but if you do service your car with the brand, then it will be extended out to a maximum of 10 years, 200,000 kilometers, which is very, very good. But just keep in mind that the services every 12 months and 15,000 Ks are not very affordable. For a vehicle like this, the average over the 10-year cap price servicing plan is $600 a year or thereabouts. That's like European luxury car pricing for servicing, so maybe that's how they're making their money back when it comes to offering that kind of lengthy warranty. And also you need to know that roadside assist is only up to 4 years, and it's only if you service your Mitsubishi at a dealership, a Mitsubishi dealership that is. It isn't in its prime anymore, but the Pajero Sport still offers a lot of value for money. If you're looking for a rig that you could kit out and take off-road, or maybe you just want a semi-rugged 4x4 family SUV, this could be the right car for you. And let me know if it isn't, why not? Which other model would you choose if you're in the market for one, or if you've already bought something else? I'd love to hear from you. Please do hit me up in the comments if you haven't already. Like and subscribe, ring the bell to keep up to date with all of my updates. I've got a lot more content coming, community posts. I ask every week which video you're most excited about, and I've been trying to upload 3 reviews a week. Busy times. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.